Chapter 3 Mesozoic Conduit. To be a gringo in Mexico, that is euthanasia. Ambrose Spears, in the Mexican Revolution, last letter. In a tangled mess of hot sheets in the middle of the night, a bearing goes on a semi-truck's trailer out on the Hollywood freeway, making a smoking whine that spools up with the ringing in my ears from 30 years of jackhammering still pinging around in my head. In a clench of chaos, a superpike cuts in screaming, and I drift back to those early times in waking dream, to the rolling waters of the wide-open Gulf, to those gimlet-eyed morning stars that glimmered on me then as I gawk back on them now, enciphered in my memory's functioning. Artifacts from the volcanic precipice assemble in the night, lines of code lining up in their battalions, now so different than they were, inventions of memory like grass blooming, then covered in snow 50 times over, each blade a new thing. In a policeman's banal analysis, we'd have been two tripped-out runaways on a rural third-world beach. Now, after almost 50 winters of forgetting and remembering and forgetting again, I have built an edifice in the ephemera of remembered visions. I recall global reactionary fear was my creaking hull on that celestial river, but the underlying awe was strong and good and true, and it transfixed us, tempered by bliss and dread, but ignorant, holy awe was at the bottom of it. Down past the monkey brain, down past the reptilian brain, down to the mineral brain, or whatever undersurface those chemicals exposed, a mirror of a framework of the cosmic axle, the orb of the earth turning, the trunk of the tall ceiba spreading, a blessed portal between the realms, a Kabbalistic tree of life with a trillion leaves of allegoria and metaphora, an eccentric neural chart of the energies and emanations of the divine, that itself is a shell around a thing neither vast nor limitless, that cannot be said to exist or not exist by the human monkey, but that is also both cold and hot, dark and bright, and all the other qualities that, like us, are discernible only by being subtracted from that indefinable whole. On the piazza of our adobe squat, we lay at the edge of the volcanic cliffs. 100 feet up, we accelerated into a conduit of light, heads pegged to the axis in awe. Everything all at once flowed down on us, locked up in our limitations as we thought forth, pasted, prone, and prognosticating night after night, receiving a river of starlight in contemplations and visions with eyes open, streaming down onto our chemically exposed nerves, through pupils progressively dilating, feeling like we were looking into the luminous DNA of the universe itself. Night after night, Bill and I walked that beach, where the Milky Way met the shallow sea, bathed in the 14 billion-year-old channel of radiated light, laden with apparition, sensation, and messages beyond our retention. There was an unspoken faith in the bones over the mind that this cool, soft light would heal us of diseases we would not admit. Our imagined selves becoming ghosts of our histories on those high cliffs above that wide open gulf. What was revealed was already known but forgotten. By the same kind of memory salmon know their river, we knew our road without a map. Perched on our volcanic anvil, surrounded in effervescent blueness, we watched it all come down upon us, eroding out our soul's sediments, visions leaching up into the stars, while the iron-laden lava rock rusted out into the milky turquoise surf. Open to it all, out prone on our backs, gravitationally locked to that solidified slag at the mouth of the sky. For 40 days and nights, we were fixed to that frozen river of igneous rock, which had flowed down from the now extinct caldera, glowing blood red as it flowed down the black slope, until at last it poured out, sizzling, streaming ruby red and steaming, into the aqua gulf in a long, quenched, burning apocalypse. That silicious, crusted flow, in cahoots with the morning stars and all the other minions of the eternal, formed a liminal zone, a brink, a threshold, a key to something or other. It was clear even to us dinks, and we were dinks, tiny ignoramus cogs in a beautiful machine, made no less fantastical by our dinkishness. We looked for the limits of liminality at the shore of the undulating, crashing gulf, looking over the edge of the cliff, out to sea, and up into the multiplex dome of stars, where stars are constantly birthing and dying. It was a hub of all timelines merging and intersecting and conflicting into each other, as the whole fossil choir sang up together in disjointed harmony, beneath the gaseous atmospheric curving plain, a liquid lens of the sea and sky, enveloping the hard skin of the earth's mantle. The chorus intoned, and we dissolved down into the place, living as eyes to the place, with sporadically paralyzed bodies as parts to the place, with mouths and assholes doing their jobs in keeping our bodies and senses just alive enough to see the whole thing coming down around us. It was ground zero, day one, and we saw it all filtering down with peeled eyes from our tiled piazza squat, where we could see for miles and miles and miles into a microcosmic museum of the universal system. And in certain lights, every detail appeared as a material allegory of the cosmic tale. Eons before, the volcano had spewed out two big rivers of molten rock, as different as sun and moon. Our headland, a sun-baked precipice covered in elephant grass. The other, smaller, lower, a grassless moonscape of volcanic spires and intrusions, jutting out of the dunes of lighter pepper sands, piled up from the sediment-striped beaches that connected it all up together and unrolled the waves that instructed me in fluid dynamics and the shape of water moving in time on this blue-green golden orb of the world. Down those beaches, to the north and to the south, were two primeval rivers of murk, each settling out in bright amber clarity in the complex of mangrove roots, where ancient alligators loitered in toothy complacency on sheltered sandy shores, under sun and moon and sky, mirrored in fecund still waters. The mangrove roots were the auditory nerves of the place, gripping the water all along the edge, listening to the air move and to the sea waves breathe, and to the whispering sky that was the mouth of the place, speaking in luminous, hallowed tones to everything all around, to the lenient familiarity of the quiet, ambient voices in the cricket piece above, smelling of the earthy low scrub on the slopes, dotted with thatched daub and wattle jackals, and further up to the black velvet thorn-green volcano overhead, with its archaic miniature stone temples facing out empty, as they do to this day, wide open to the windy sky and briny aqua gulf, in their game of spirits past. We were receptacles to all that, lying adrift at the mouth of the sky, like kids going forth to war on the mind's television, like kids have done since the beginning, like the Argonauts did and the Norse mariners of the sagas did. Going out to explore zones of death and destruction, birth and creation, with eyes closed, using a variety of ideations. and blood-boiling mental solvents and accelerants, sleeplessness, hunger, and gut-draining sickness, as vehicles to undo and obliterate all that had come before, to see it all beforehand and after the fact, running it backwards and forwards in the crystal ball of the sky, played out in an abstraction of visionary plasma, verified under the truth of the midnight stars. Seeing worlds within worlds, in the contagious sensations of crabs and mollusks and fish, and all the rest of us, coming together to pose the huge, final, circular, relative, structurally unanswerable question. To pose and repose that perplexity of being, with eyeball and tentacle, antenna and tongue, in an infinity of fractal forms and relationships and similitudes, dismembering and reshuffling all those old certainties, chasing them out into a vast vision of a universe of vagary that would drive Bill and me off feral into the purpled hues, off the edge of the willfully ignorant, hard, gray northern concrete plain upon which we stand today as our own peculiar human echoes, rippling out in space-time, dissipating off into this stream of days. We walked that beach, night after night, in animated darkness, where 123 years before, my great-great-grand gringo Gert had arrived, ivory and blue Navy Colt in hand, to help Polk steal California, and all the rest of it, as it had been stolen many times before. The very beach where in 1519 another thief, Pedro de Alvarado, had galloped his armored horse like an apparition in that valley of visions before the astonished few locals, in the first display of the conquest, the decisive moment of undoing, at the mouth of heaven, the navel of our deconstruction, the original dinosaur site of the evaporation of the spatial temporal systems that made sense from the nonsense born indoors in the great gray north.